Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector. And who buys video games off of Amazon, especially retro games? That's a question that I've heard asked plenty of times whenever the conversation of retro video game prices comes up. We all know that retro video games have been extremely popular. From since before 2020, honestly, retro games were already rising in popularity, but the awareness of retro games, I think, experienced a huge surge in 2020. And so we saw more and more people starting to buy retro video games, both by going out to actual stores and buying them. And also we saw a rise in eBay. But the one place that I think most game collectors wouldn't have expected people to be buying retro games, the one place where they never thought people would go is Amazon. And the reason is because, well, for one, Amazon and people who sell on Amazon typically charge higher than normal prices for retro video games. And that's more than likely due to the cost of actually selling on Amazon. Now, selling on Amazon is not a very easy thing to do. In fact, I just was able to land my first sale on Amazon because I've been selling on Amazon, or at least I opened the Amazon store a couple months ago, and I finally got my first sale the other week. But Amazon has a lot of rules. It has a lot of restrictions. The fees that they charge you for selling on their platform or using their platform to sell are pretty substantial. And because of this, a lot of retro game sellers don't even go to Amazon to sell their video games. They choose platforms like Mercari, uh, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, places that will not eat into their profits as much as a site like Amazon. Nevertheless, we still see that there are a number of people who still not only sell on Amazon, but there's an even larger number of people who buy on Amazon. And the question for me is, what would possess a person to buy video games on Amazon? The number one reason for this, in my opinion, from what I could see, is the customer service aspect and the guarantee of, or at least feeling like what you're being told you're going to get is actually going to be as described. Now, I've purchased games on Mercari and I've purchased games off of eBay. And I'll be quite honest with you, 80% of the time, the games that I buy on there come as described, and I'm, for the most part, pretty satisfied with what I've gotten from them. But there's that 20% of the time, and believe it or not, 20% is a large number. That means for every 10 games that you buy, 2 come in a condition that's unsatisfactory. Whether it means the game is not working, the condition is, worse than what was described in the advertisement. And whenever you see something like that as a buyer, it's extremely frustrating because now you're going to have to go through the whole process of returning something. And returning things on eBay and on Mercari are never easy. It's painful. And so for that reason, I think a lot of people turn to a website like Amazon for buying retro games because they want to have that peace of mind in knowing that what they're buying is going to be authentic, it's going to be in the condition as described, and that if they have any issue with it, the return process is extremely easy. All you have to do is find an Amazon approved location, and you can take that game or that console to that location, drop it off, and bing, bang, boom, you'll have your refund in no time. Now, as a seller, obviously, that's not a fun or a cool thing to think about because you have to be on your P's and Q's to ensure that you limit as many returns as possible, because on every Amazon account there is something called a health meter, and the more you have returns and bad reviews, it can start to damage the health of your Amazon account, and then Amazon will penalize you in different ways as a seller. So for someone who's very inexperienced in buying retro games, who has zero knowledge of how to detect a game that's fake, all of the little nuances that go into understanding retro games and how to buy them, for someone like that, I could see why they would buy those games off of Amazon. Now, the next question is, okay, well, how many consumers, or how much of the consumer group that consumes retro games doesn't know about retro games in terms of knowing how to spot fakes, knowing the prices, knowing what a good market rate for a game should be. How many of those people don't know that? And I would say that there is a substantial number of folks that don't know that, because a lot of times we think of Amazon as a place where, you know, we here in America go to buy games, but believe it or not, there are people buying retro games all over the world. Um, there are people in Brazil, there are people in Japan, there are people in, you know, Croatia who don't have access to some of the games that were only released here in North America, and so they want an opportunity to play those games. They want an opportunity to experience those games, and if they're not comfortable with buying on a site like eBay or Mercari, then they're gonna go ahead and turn to Amazon. And if they're not really hip to know what, you know, someone might charge on like a Facebook Marketplace, or if that Facebook Marketplace honestly would work for someone overseas because, you know, they're not gonna fly here to do a meetup to pick the game up and fly back home. But if they don't have the means to really be able to determine what fair market value would be, then they're going to go with their best option, which for some people is Amazon. Now, in 2025, do I think that Amazon is a good place to buy your retro games? Absolutely not. Um, do not buy your retro games off of Amazon. The first thing that I would suggest for anyone who is looking to buy retro games or get into the retro games market, but you have reservations, the first thing I would do is do your research. Understand which games you want, what they should cost, and what authentic versions of those games look like. Step two would then be to figure out ways of ensuring that what you're getting is authentic and that you're not getting got when it comes to the games that you're purchasing. Purchase whatever tools you need. Watch whatever educational videos. Read whichever educational tutorials you need to read to be in the know when it comes to those retro games. And then do a little bit of compare and contrast. See if you can spot the game on Facebook Marketplace. Check out what some people are offering it for on eBay. Check Mercari. Check OfferUp. Check all the different avenues that you can check, and then before you go pulling the trigger on any type of buy now platform, see if there's anyone who's willing to take offers on the game that you're looking for. I can't tell you how many deals I've snagged off of eBay just by putting in an offer for a game that I thought was listed maybe 15% too high or 10% too high. A lot of times sellers are just trying to mitigate the losses from the fees that they're charged when selling on a lot of these platforms. But if the game has been sitting for quite some time, all you really got to do is just put in an offer that's reasonable. And a lot of times you'd be surprised how many sellers will be willing to accept an offer that may be 10% cheaper, 15, sometimes 20% cheaper than what they had the item originally listed for. I'm not saying that you should go out there and lowball everyone online, because that's just a one-way ticket to getting yourself ignored by sellers, and you don't want to be in that boat. But there are things that you can do to try and make sure that you're getting the best deal online without having to necessarily go to Amazon. Additionally, go outside. Go outside. Go to your local stores. Go to your local mom and pop shops, and of course, GameStop is an option. Now, you do run the risk with all of these venues, right? Someone can sell you a fake game on Facebook Marketplace. They could sell you a fake game on eBay. They could sell you a fake game on, you could go to a mom and pop shop and pick up a game and wind up telling the guy, hey, you know what, this is fake. It happens. It happens. But I think the biggest part of it is, like I said, doing your research, knowing the games you want, knowing what an authentic version looks like, knowing what the price should be, and then asking yourself, okay, what am I willing to pay for this game? But Amazon, honestly, really should be the last option. It is not, it's not pricing friendly. And the only thing that, like I said, that you really get out of there is that, you have an easy return process. But you can mitigate that by looking for sellers online who accept returns. Believe it or not, you have a lot of sellers on eBay who will take returns. Same thing with Mercari. So you just got to do your due diligence. But I made this video pretty much just to kind of just say, like, it doesn't make sense to buy video games on Amazon. I'm not hating on anyone who has an Amazon store. I'm strictly speaking from a buyer's perspective, someone who wants to pay the lowest price possible for the game that I want in the best condition. And there's definitely more than one way to skin that cat. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think Amazon is a good place to go for retro video games? I'm interested to know your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.